Hi, my name is David Moa. Thank you for watching this video. I've been doing this kind of research and reading for the past 3 years. I've got into this research from my older brother's knowledge and wisdom that he has been reading and gaining himself since the year 1999. I'm also glad to have been in the company of very extraordinary people, such as my teachers, my family members, and my fellow friends. In this program today, I would like to address and to explain my views on the events that are soon about to take place in what we call December 21st, 2012, supposedly the end of the world or the end of the human race. I would first like to start to talk about the system which we live by. We have, of course, the government system, the education system, the justice system, and the banking system. But let me get this across, that nothing in this world works the way you think it does. Nothing. Let me repeat that. Nothing in this world works the way you think it does. Government does not do the things that you think they do. Education system does not teach what you think they are supposed to teach. The justice system does not do what you think they are supposed to do. And the banking system doesn't do what they are supposed to do. The word government, that comes from the Latin words which mean control mankind. Govern in Latin means control, and ment means mankind. So government simply means control mankind. Government is filled with corrupted, misleading, and simply criminals at the highest indices. We don't have leaders. We have misleaders. Like Martin Luther King said, our scientific powers has outrun our spiritual powers. We have guided missiles and misguided men. That's a very powerful statement. We have to look back at what our government is doing, and we have to do our homework on where governments have come from, the different types of governments, and what are we really doing when we are voting for these leaders which are simply criminals at the highest indices. We live in a democracy country such as Canada, United States. The word democracy means the mob. Demos means mob, and rocracy means rule. So democracy means the mob rule. A perfect example of democracy is 14 black men hanging one white man, because the 14 ruled over the one. The majority ruled over the minority. When you have a mob explaining or demonstrating their opinions, that's called a what? A demonstration, because they are explaining their views to the government. Education system. That's a system that we truly must look into. Why is it that the average student is unable to read and write? Why is it that the dropout rate is incredibly high? Why is it that students simply don't feel the need to attend class anymore? Why is it that schools have state of the art and top of the line athletic equipment, but dusty and old textbooks from decades ago? There's a rhyme and a reason for everything, and there's a big reason for that, and that's exactly why we have to look into it instead of buying into what they want us to believe. The education system is at the state that it is now because it's supposed to be at that state. The government does not pay billions of dollars for what they do not want. They will pay billions of dollars for what they want. And they are paying billions of dollars for our children to not be educated because they do not want your child to be educated. They do not want your child to do too much thinking and to get in important business. That's why the education system is at the state that it is right now. Why is it that Hollywood is pumping in horror, bloodshed movies year after year depicting violence at the highest level? It's because they want our minds to get in tune with that. They want our minds to think that it is normal. Because believe me, if we do not wake up, that is what is coming for us. Because, like it says in the Bible and in many holy scriptures, what goes around will come around. You ask many people today which are not Jews, you ask them, how do you feel about the Holocaust and what happened in the time of 1939 and 1945? And they will say conclusively that I could care less because I was not a Jew. But believe me, what goes around comes around. If we do not start to do our homework and open our eyes, it will be your turn or our turn. Like Martin Luther King once said, injustice anywhere brings injustice everywhere. So, if there is corruption in Africa or violence in the Middle East, there can also be corruption in Canada and violence in America. Best believe that. We have to start looking into the systems and where they have come from and what they are really doing, because every single institution in this world is corrupted. Western civilization structure system is completely corrupted, filled with criminals who simply want more power and more money, and they will lie and cheat to get exactly what they want, and that is power and money. And we simply cannot fight back because knowledge is power, and that is something we simply do not have. We do not have knowledge. the justice system. Why is it that they call the justice system in many states and many provinces the criminal justice system? Why is it called the criminal justice system? Logic will tell you that it's called the criminal justice system because the criminals are in charge of the justice, of their own justice. Take a moment to think about that. You hear that we live in a law country or we live in a law nation, when logic would tell you we do not live in a law country or a law nation. We live in a lawless world, in fact. There is no place in this world that actually has law and order. Period. The law is what that person in that particular room or environment says is the law. So whoever that authority figure is in that particular room at that particular time, that is the law. Period. We have to look more into justice system because that is a very corrupted system that puts innocent people in jail based on their finance, based on their money, based on their status. The word finance, it translates to a Latin word called fiscus. Fiscus meaning money bag or bag of money. So in the Roman Empire, a person who had a bag of coins or a bag of money had finance or had finances. In the court, the judge rules from what? The bench. In the Roman Empire, when you were telling somebody that I'm going to the bench to exchange my money, the bench meant the bank. The judge rules from the bank. The judge does not care who wins or loses. The judge is just the referee. All the judge cares about is who is going to pay back to society because the law was broken. So it's not about who is guilty or who is not guilty. It's about finances. It's about money. It's about corporation. Period. Banking. Where do we get banks? There's two banks on a river called riverbanks. What do riverbanks do? They control the flow of the current, the currency. Money. Banks control practically this whole entire world because banks are the ones who are able to control if we are either in a prosperity time or a depression or recession time, because what they are able to do is have the power to either implement credit to society or reduce it and even exterminate it. So in times of prosperity, banks give out enormous amounts of credit to business owners, to private personnel, to citizens. So the society continues to move and people now have jobs because the businesses now have credit and so forth, and now people and citizens are able to pay their mortgage and life goes on. But what happens when what happens when credit what happens when credit gets demolished, or what happens when credit becomes reduced? It now makes corporations have no money, and now you lose your job, and now you cannot pay your mortgage, so now you lose your home. Banks play the riskiest game on this earth, but they have nothing to lose because banks work with government, and government will always be in favor of the banks and bail them out and raise our taxes to make us more into slaves. It's just a game here that we aren't privy to understand or to even know, because we simply do not want the truth, and that is something that we have to look into. Rome is my next subject. Rome has been ruling this world for over 2,700 years. First with the Caesars, which designed and constructed practically our entire system that we live in today in the Western civilization, from banking to education to justice system to practically everything. After the Roman Empire fell, of course, in the 4th and 5th century, in place of that, the Vatican manifested from Rome. The large corporations who were funding the Roman Empire slipped all of their money out of Rome and started a whole new operation, which was called the Vatican. The Pope is not the Holy Father. You must do your homework on that and realize what the Vatican is and what they are doing on the world stage and on world affairs. I know many of you have heard of the term the dawn of the new day, or have seen their symbols on gas companies, on large corporations, on the Soviet Union. That's their symbol. The Soviet Union was implementing communism and designed communism, and their whole philosophy was dawn of a new day. And I'm not going to get really into dawn of the new day, especially in this video, in this segment, but it's something that we must do our homework on and look into, because it's a very enormous subject that brings a lot of truth to this mystery that we call life. In conclusion to this video, many of you are asking me what I believe, or my views or my opinions are on December 21st, 2012. And I know it's just around the corner, and it's my apologies for having this video being published this late, but I understand all of your inputs, and I try my best to do what I can, and here it goes. Well, let me get out there. I believe that on December 21st, 2012, the world, of course, in my opinion, the earth in particular will never end. The world will live forever. But you have to ask yourself, what is December 21st and what is happening just around the corner? I believe that it's not the end. I think that it's a tool to frighten us and to see how vulnerable we are as a human family and as a human race from large corporations and most of all secret societies that work in the government, such as CIA, NSIA, and government secret intelligence societies which work on social networks such as Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, and all the other social networks that are found on the web to see exactly where we as a human being are at for their complete mass agenda of a new man. Hitler introduced to the world that whole concept of a new man. I'm telling you, do research on it because it's a very legitimate thing that is happening to us. It has to do with biological mutation. It has to do with genetically modified foods and the change of our atmosphere and air and simply the way we live through technology. So, in saying that, I personally believe that in this year of 2012 going into 2013, it's not going to end. But we must do our homework because, yes, of course, we are hitting the last days. In my opinion, there's no way that this world can continue the way that it is continuing any longer. With all the wars, corruption, bloodshed, there has to be something gonna intervene in order for us as a human race to continue. It either has to come from God or it has to come from us. But in my opinion, it's going to have to come from God. And that's exactly what I am thinking is going to happen on December 21st, 2012. We are going to have some sort of spiritual renaissance that's not going to come from us, but it's going to be forced into us. It's going to be impersonal. Because I personally believe till today that human beings, generally speaking, do not want the truth. Do not want to hear the truth. And that is something that's been going on so far back history can go. So I believe that God is going to intervene in this so-called mass agenda of changing us into a new man, because that's not his ultimate goal for us. And we must wake up as an individual and start to understand that this world does not work the way you think it does. So I believe now, and I'm telling you as an audience, to stay in tune with God and the divine force that overshadows this world, because he's a very powerful spirit. But we have to get in tune with him. So in the year 2013, I want all of us to do our homework and simply not accept what government and any institution tells us or gives us, because it's all corrupt. Let's wake up and let's get our human life back. I'm David Moll, and thank you for watching.